Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So for us iOS users, we have the update a little bit early, and so I just wanted to show you that obviously there are some quests you can do in Azana, provided you have made it to the eastern region. Also, there is a new very hard dungeon that uses red keys to farm Git, and so you can see my team here. I am actually bringing 6 different characters, one of each weapon type, and I am arming the weapons of gold that you can get from the mini games in Nagsham. So again, if you've done the eastern region after update 2.0, you can use those weapons and farm additional Git, which I'll show you in this video. Now, just a reminder, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Also, I do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So you can see that the average level recommended is level 75, and I will say, first of all, the difficulty of these battles is much higher than that of the XP dungeon. So I kind of just haphazardly came in with a team, and you can see with the bonus of all those weapons, you get, instead of just 60k Git, you get 96,000 additional Git. So quite a bit of bonus if you can afford to equip all the gold weapons. Now, one thing I will say is, if you do equip all the gold weapons, a reminder that you do lose the benefits of any normal weapons that you would have equipped with your party. So in this case, I brought Suzette, and I actually didn't realize it until now, but being that she does not have her manifest weapon, her AoE attacks are much weaker than they should be. Also, for a lot of my other characters where I was using the adamantium weapons and some other lands weapons, anything with elemental damage boosts and things like that, those benefits are all gone as well. So when you are going to this region, if you are able to tackle the additional difficulty with gold weapons, you are at a disadvantage for sure, but the additional Git may make it worthwhile provided you can survive. That being said, I would highly recommend bringing a 5-star healer of some sort. Now, all the mobs here are, they may look that they're similar to their counterparts in the, I guess, in the corridor of time. However, they don't have any weaknesses or resistances from what I understand. So, whatever team you happen to bring in should be sufficient. I will say that in future runs, if I ever do come here, now this is my very first time, and so I didn't do any sort of additional research before coming in. I just went in blind. Like most things, I kind of just want to try it out and see for myself what to expect. I probably would have swapped Mana with Leclerc, being that they're both bow users and still can equip the bow of gold. But I think that Leclerc OG's aiming flood would do very well here, not only with some AoE damage, but with the power debuff. Most of the enemies do have physical attacks, and they do have a mix of magical attacks as well. Now you can see here I did burn an AoE, and I didn't realize that I didn't have the manifest weapons until I did this particular battle. So unfortunately, this battle is going to be a lot harder than I would have expected, because normally with manifest weapon for Suzette, she would have wiped the floor with a half bar already, being that Sukiya can do Howling Surge and so on and so forth. And you can see that this particular horror has mostly magical AoE attacks, and so casting something like Aurora Force or having Rika's Valor Chant come in, which increases type resistance, or even Mario's VC that also increases type resistance, would have helped me survive. So I made a huge mistake there, and so I'm going to rely on Mana's Queen of Hearts to increase power and decrease intelligence. Now, in our case, we don't have any real offensive mages. I mean, you can see that once we reduce the int, the AoE does only minor amounts of damage in the hundreds as opposed to thousands. So, provided I survive this attack, I will be using Mario to heal up the entire team. I do have food as well, but I prefer to use that right before I tackle the boss of this area. That being said, MP is also an issue here. I didn't really bring in the right moves, and I would say in the future, you would want to bring in a team that has at least 2 great AoEs. So if you burn 2 AoEs, like either a XL plus a medium or something along those lines, and again, I will emphasize that I think Leclerc would be great here. Using her medium plus someone else's XL should do the trick. I also may not bring Suzette instead of if you have his Mina, for example, as a suitable Lance alternative. Even Seti with his Retro's impact with the medium fire AoE, that might do the trick. He also has, of course, the int debuff single target for his Vigilant Lance. So all of those would be great. And of course, his Mina has a perfect VC that can do AoE water damage. Now, if you're asking why I didn't bring Morgana and Joker, the reason is twofold. First of all, with most of these very hard dungeons, you do need 120 light or shadow to get all 3 slot rewards. And the other thing is that by using 2 of those, they both use swords, and so I won't be able to have a full complement of different weapon types. And so I decided to opt to make life a little bit harder for myself and arm, like I said, 6 different weapon type characters in this dungeon. Like I said, I also brought Rika and Mana as opposed to bringing more powerful characters, just so I can get a little bit of XP, but I realized after the fact that you don't get XP here anyways, and so I should not have brought in those. So if you are watching this, make sure you don't do the same mistakes that I did. Bring your most powerful characters. For example, for my hammer, you could bring someone like Melina if you have her. I would have brought Ewan. He has a perfect fire AoE that stuns as well, so perfect crowd control. So like I said, learn from our mistakes, or if you want to do some online research, there are plenty of forums such as Reddit. There are a lot of Japanese guides, you can take a look at those as well. But like I said, for the most part, I prefer to just kind of wander through it myself and see how it goes, and share both my successes and, in this case, some of my failures with you in hopes that you learn from my mistakes and are able to finish this quite easily. I will say the mobs in general, are pretty doable, and in the case of being mana intensive and I don't have quite enough MP left, rotating Mariel for mana is great, because remember that Mana's VC is 90% reduction in all MP costs if you have a VC level 3, and being that only paying 10% of the cost of a lot of your moves will save a lot of MP in the long run. And if you have a fast enough character, like in my case either Sukiya or Mariel switching in, then your 2 offensive characters that are left in front will do the trick and kill them all off with just a small amount of MP loss. So you do have a large number of strategies for this particular dungeon. So like I said, I'm just sharing one type of strategy. Now back to Joker and Morgana. They are both Shadow, so if you can manage an entire 120 Shadow team, I don't see that being a problem either. And you can see the exit is right there, kind of in the far left there, and we're going to clear this second horror. Now I've learned from our battle from the first horror, and we're going to take our time in terms of doing some damage, building up our bar, and making sure we have Aurora Force up to deal with its AoE. And like I said, I'm going to be probably using Mana with Queen of Hearts to increase the power of all my attackers, while decreasing the int of everybody. And since frontline fighters don't really need int to deal a whole bunch of damage, I'll survive a lot better. Let me know in the comments below if you do like the new update and the new dungeon. Now don't forget to remember that there are new summons. Obviously there's a new banner, which is AS Shani. I didn't mention this yesterday, and a few subscribers did point out my mistake in leaving out this piece of information. But AS Shani, don't forget, does boost damage for male counterparts in her party, especially if they do a critical hit. And she is very similar to AS Tuva in that she generates orbs on herself, which do help her do additional attacks at the end of the turn. So kind of like AS Tuva, where her skeletons do additional damage, you'll also have AS Shani doing additional damage in terms of its form of attacks, which will help boost AF bar right before you do a large AF. So you can see I'm just building a full bar here, and I'm going to unleash it onto the horror. And like I said, I would definitely highly recommend bringing a more synergistic team in terms of types of damage or so on and so forth. Being that there's no resistance or weakness, you could probably bring an all fire team or something that your team, your most powerful team basically. If you do have a 120 shadow team, then like I said, Morgana and Joker would make the fight a lot easier, and I might try that in future runs. But for now, it's just fooling around with this one for now. Alright, so you do get a new loot item here in the form of gold lump. And I'll show you at the end of this video what to do with those. Now, if you remember the Corridor of Time layers, we do have this particular boss. And if everything's the same, it will be the same as the other boss in that if you wait too long and bring it too low in life and it warps backward in time to the Big Bang Theory, then your party can be ended in one large attack. So we want to kill the boss before it gets to that point, and you can see that it starts at 1100 AD and works its way back, and at each era it can bring up an attack from that particular era. So at 1100 we're talking in the future, and it does a mixed number of attacks. So again, if you're at this point, you'll recognize most of the attacks, being that you've already finished the main story in order to get to this point. I wouldn't say this boss is too difficult in comparison to the horror. If anything, maybe I just mismanaged the battle and kind of got caught by surprise. So you can see that as we deal damage to the boss, we're going to bring down its time zone. It's going to be warping back in time, and you can see the temporal illusion, and now we're bringing in Galliard to attack us. So physical AoE there. Again, nothing too significant in terms of damage. Note that I have not put any int or power debuffs on the enemy, and I'm still only taking in the low 1000 damage. So certainly not a crazy amount of damage, although never hurts to be too careful. And if you do have int and power debuffed characters on your team, then for sure bring them along. Alright, so again, I did burn my AF bar beforehand by taking it on the horror and using it there. So maybe if you do require an AF bar to finish off this particular boss, depending on your team composition as well as the number of grasses on your party, then obviously you want to fight the horrors first, then kill the mobs to build up your AF bar, and then fight the boss at this time. Or you could just skip the horrors if you find they're too difficult and just go straight for the boss. So many options for those at various difficulties. Okay, we're warping to 2000 BC. So in another step or so, we would see back to the beginning where the Big Bang Theory will eventually wipe us out. That being said, I'm dealing a fair bit of damage with each round, and we're going to get there very, very quickly. It really does hurt not to have Suzette's manifest weapon. Now I recall what it was like when Suzette was just in the beginning, being that in the very beginning, before she had Okanaktos or the manifest weapon Dark Heavenly Tears, her AoE was among the lowest damage attack for most 5-star characters, and only with the manifest weapon did she become the DPS powerhouse that she is today. Alright, so half bar AF, finished off the boss. Not too elegant, so I do apologize that it took a lot longer to kind of wander through things for the very first time anyways. And in future runs, I'll have learned from this and bring a more efficient team with more efficient AoEs. Alright, so let's take a look at the rewards. Now, there are Git badges which you can equip, which is perfect for farming Git, and there are different varying levels. So I believe the top percentage points is 15% bonus Git. And here you are, you can sell those gold lumps for 100k Git each. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.